right, guys. Good morning and welcome to Sports with Mono and Mono. I'm here with Eli Weintraub, my co-host, and it's very hot in the Northeast. So wherever you guys are, I hope it's a little bit cooler than it's
You're
been.
staying cool.
Yeah, it's already been it's already the 22nd day of June, which is really hard to believe. So this heat wave is a little bit normaler than we're accustomed to, but I
Exactly.
think it's gonna be that way going forward. So we got
But I
a
mean, it's
lot of
very
stuff
late,
to talk
late
about.
going on,
Yeah.
and a lot to talk
What,
about.
Eli?
As mentioned, I say a
Yeah.
lot to talk
So
about. The heat wave, it came late. That's for sure. I think 22nd. You think it comes earlier usually,
I
but
don't know. I think it comes later, but that's the dog days of August.
yeah.
But
We
let's
do
jump
have
right into it, Eli.
a comment before we
Right?
begin. Frankie, how about the Oilers staying alive? And we'll talk about that in just a
Yes,
little
and
bit.
we will get to that.
But first, the monologue.
We will get to that, Frankie, for sure. But we always start our show off with the monologue, which of course is always sponsored by Coriano Trucking of Summer Hill, New York. And Eli, this is kind of a rarity for me. So our monologue this week, I'm going to start off, and it's actually a notable passing, and it was significant to me and baseball fans around the world. Willie Mays passed away at 93. And as you know, back in May, on Willie's 93rd birthday, you and I said, we could see something happening, in a short period of time. And he ultimately passed away this week. And it made me, from a baseball, what I consider myself kind of a baseball historian. He was one of the most well-rounded baseball players of all time, meaning he could run, catch, throw, and hit. Right? Maybe not the greatest hitter. He was a lifetime 302 average, but hit 660 home runs in a very difficult place to hit home runs. Missed
Right.
almost 2 years because of military service. But he was really, truly a gentleman of the game. And, I go by, from people before my era, like I'm before yours. So, there's a different group of people. And when you associate it with the top baseball players of all time, I'm going to give you my list. You guys can comment, send us, an email, whatever. But I always put Ruth, Gehrig, Cobb, and Willie Mays in the top four of five. Now, five, you could put anybody in there. You could put Ted Williams, Joe DiMaggio, right? Those kind of guys. And then as those guys went into retirement, we had a new group of guys. One of the greatest hitters I ever saw was Tony Gwynn. He was like a magician at the plate. And, Rose, of course, and Andre Dawson for a period of time was just great. And now today you have the Judges and the Sotos and the Otanis and the Trouts. But Willie Mays laid the foundation for, hustle.
Baseball.
And these guys that are playing right now hustle because they saw highlights of Willie Mays. And we can, of course, talk about the catch in 1954 over the shoulder, literally known as the catch. But I also watched a documentary, I think it was HBO or Netflix, on Willie Mays not too long ago. What a class act. It's a big loss for baseball, but and my father and his best friend grew up watching Willie Mays play. And I remember one of my father's friends saying Willie Mays was the best player he ever saw. Of course, he didn't see Ruth and Gehrig, whatever, or Cobb and those guys. But he does stand alone, and all he did for the black community, and he used to play stickball in front of the buildings for these kids when he was young. Just a class act, and it's a big loss for Major League Baseball.
It is. And going back to your list, I mean, to me, the greatest two baseball players of all time that I can think of course, is Babe Ruth, and of course, I had his name Jackson. Not Jack, Jackie Robinson. Thank you, Jackie Robinson. Those are the two greatest of all time.
Well,
there's no question. That is who I define as baseball and who I'd look up to in terms of the greatest of all time. Now the lane slipped me. I had it the entire time. I had just came off. I heard Jackson. That was it. But yeah, Jackie Robinson, Babe Ruth. That's what I look forward to in the greatest of all time. Of course, Willie May is one of them. He's an iconic legend and will be forever missed in the MLB world. And of course, in the baseball community in general.
You bet. And, you know, I remember him being traded to the New York Mets in 1972, where he finished out his career. So obviously that wasn't the Willie Mays that won the MVP in 1954 and so forth. But yeah, certainly Jackie Robinson was a ground breaking ball player. So he has to be up there as well. But I'm just talking if you look at numbers, you look at Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig's numbers and Ty Cobb's numbers and Joe DiMaggio's numbers, they're incredible. But if you look at Willie Mays' numbers, they're just as incredible.
New market.
Yep. So that's I would love for you folks to send in comments or send us an email at sportswithmono@gmail.com, because, you know, when we talk about the top baseball players of all time, you're going to ask 20 people and they're going to give you 20 different answers. So I wanted to give my answer, and certainly Willie Mays belongs in that conversation. No doubt.
No question.
So Eli, let's just kind of move on to what we witnessed last week, the U.S. Open at Pinehurst, and it was just as tough as a U.S. Open is supposed to be. And DeChambeau held off, and now you could also point and look at quote unquote, it was kind of a collapse for Rory McIlroy. And
yes, it was
unusual to miss those short putts, especially a guy of his caliber. It would have been his first major in over 10 years, and it just wasn't meant to be. But from an optics perspective, he didn't handle it with class and dignity like he should have. Like he just literally finished his round, got in his car, didn't congratulate DeChambeau or stand up to the media, which, and you know my feelings. I wasn't always crazy about Rory, but I supported and admired what he did against Live Golf and all those things. But this was a bad look. And, you know, he's going to somehow have to repair the damage. But give DeChambeau credit, because that bunker shot on 18 was one of the all-time great shots.
It was a great shot, no question. Again, it was not his night, and golf is it's a tough sport to play, and we know that. We always say the football and basketball is hard. Golf is just as complicated. Again, you need time, precision, and, you know, you got to be into it, and the mentality needs to be right. I've said it all the time, you know, not on the show, but in general, you just need to have it. And in this case, it wasn't his night. But listen, you got to be fair. You got to talk to the media. You got to say congratulations, and you do need to move on. Unfortunately, you don't walk out like that. A little embarrassing, but again, a great U.S. Open in general.
And so what that leaves is one more Grand Slam, one more major, and that's the Open Championship, and it's being played at Royal Troon this year. So he'll be there. He'll actually be there. Usually the week before is the Scottish Open. So hopefully he can rebound from that. He's playing pretty close to his home course. And anyway, I don't like DeChambeau, but I appreciate his talent. And the guy, he does close the door when he's had a lead. So give him credit.
No question.
Right? So, Eli, why don't you give us a little insight as to where we stand with the NBA as the season closed out? We have a new world champion, the 18th title for the Boston Celtics. What's your take on that final series?
Well, let's just say, here's my take. I'll just go with that. My take is that was a boring series. That is the bottom line. I felt bored watching it. To be quite honest with you, it felt like a regular. It felt like a normal regular season game watching that final series. I'll be quite honest with you. And listen, congratulations to Boston Celtics, 18th championship. The parade was awesome yesterday to watch it. However, I just felt bored with it. The score at the end was either it was a blowout at halftime, a tie at halftime, or by a point margin at halftime. And at the end of the game, it's a 20, 30-point final. How is that a final? In NBA finals, when it comes down to 5 to 10 points, and when you go to a game 7, you go to a game 6, and you push all the way through, to me, I didn't see any excitement in this series. And also, I think a lot of took away too is with the NBA, the ESPN part of it too. We looked at the pregame halftime crew. It was not exactly like, oh, let's just stay there, watch it. There were like arguments back and forth. There was no agreement. No, like, okay, this is what we should look forward to. Nothing. It was just all a mess, and now you have no play-by-play crew that's going to stay, as JJ Redick, of course. We know he got a contract with Los Angeles Lakers. There goes that trio, which we always seem to change. Wrong move by letting go Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson. just the little things that were, happen here. Either way, congrats to Celtics. Just not for me. Like a great series compared to look at the NHL. I mean, what a series that is. We'll get to that in just a little bit, but you compare the NHL to this, it's shocking. And the fact that the NBA got more views is still shocking, but I guess everybody loves NBA talent. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, listen, a couple of takeaways for me from the finals. And I think it was a couple of years in the making. I know a lot of people and that didn't give Jason Tatum his just due. And of course, Jaylen Brown played unbelievable finals MVP, but I really do. I really like the class and the way he handles himself. And I still think he's one of the top 5 players, Jason Tatum. So I'm happy for him to get his first title, 18th in Celtics history, as we said. But, that combination, right? It was basically, those two guys were going to win or lose this series, just like Irving and Doncic were going to win or lose that series. And it played out pretty much that exact same way, right?
Yeah.
You had guys like Derek White and stuff stepped up and, good for Al Horford, because he's a long-time NBA guy, but to an end. So we're rapidly entering the baseball, and then we got to start talking about training camp coming up. So enough said on the NBA. So let's talk about the NHL.
Before we get to NHL, I'm going to bring up a couple notes real quick, if you don't mind. For the NBA, the Chicago Bulls are trading Alex Caruso to the Thunder in exchange for Josh Giddey. That was happening. That was announced this week. ESPN broadcaster JJ Redick is the new head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. He was, again, a top analyst alongside Doris Brooke. He is now gone. This is the second new trio since Disney ESPN let go of Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson to have let go. Other news, the Detroit Pistons have parted ways with head coach Monty Williams after only one season. That happened this week also. Jim, you have thoughts on that?
Yeah.
And also,
I'm a little bit surprised because Monty Williams has a pretty good track record, right? He took the fall, a couple of times in his career, but one season really isn't indicative, enough to cost him his job, I think. But they had to make a change. They had one of the worst seasons in NBA history, and I'm a little bit surprised about it for sure. Yeah.
No question. And the last note is the NBA draft takes place this Wednesday at 8 p.m. ABC and ESPN, followed by Thursday, 4 p.m. ESPN. It's only exclusively on ESPN for Thursday's second round draft. That will be live from ESPN Seaport Studios, and this will be right before the presidential election, so everybody could watch it. It's all about the views, of course, as we know.
So let's move on, Eli, to the NHL, because as you said, we could be watching one of the all-time sports collapses if Edmonton comes back in Game 7. They got to go win it. They have to win it in Florida. But Florida, who looked just dominating against the Rangers and the first 3 games against Edmonton, but we all knew that Edmonton had McDavid and Nugent Hopkins and all of those Leon Draisaitl's and Evan, right? Hedman, right? So it really is unbelievable, and they have won in dominating fashion 3 games in a row. Against one of the toughest defensive teams ever. So can the streak we brought up that Paul Maurice, the coach, has coached the most games in NHL history without a Stanley Cup. So if they let this slip away, we're going to be talking about one of the all-time collapses in major sports history.
It's crazy to think so. However, Jim, I don't believe in it. I still believe the Panthers will win the Stanley Cup. And it was an interesting fact that we saw after the game last night. It was on ESPN socials. The last team to ever go to force a Game 7 after being down 3-0 in the final was back in 1945. And the teams in that matchup was the Maple Leafs and the Red Wings. The Leafs were up 3-0. Red Wings came back, but they lost the final to the Maple Leafs, who became your champions. So that was previous history. Last time that happened, 1945. A long time that happened, Jim. A very long time. However, how I look at it into this game is Edmonton played phenomenal last night. They played phenomenal the last 3 games. But you look at the Panthers, they played phenomenal the first 3 games. This game 7 is really a winner takes all game, and it's anybody's game. And usually I would say, well, Edmonton's up 3-0. They have the best shot of winning it all. But you got to remember, though, Panthers have had scored 11 goals in the first 3 games.
Yeah.
And Oilers have scored 18 goals in the previous next 3 games in games 4 to 6. It's a lot to think about. And also, you look at it, you're in Florida. It's a whole new atmosphere, a whole new environment. I mean, we could start with Canada. Canada and Edmonton had a phenomenal crowd last night. Every time they sing the Canadian national anthem, it's something special. Because you look at it in the beginning, they sang it as one. They're all, together. They really are in the energy in Canada. Florida, they just want to throw the rats and say they won. That's how I view it as. But unfortunately, you look at it, Florida's the better team right now, despite Edmonton looking good in these past 3 games. That's just my opinion. I know it's a bold take, especially that they have Connor McDavid, the comeback that they had, but I just do feel that it's going to be in Florida's hands come Monday at 8 p.m. on ABC.
All right, let me just give you my thoughts, because as you know, I don't jump off a sinking ship, right? And I've been all in on the Panthers. I said the Edmonton Oilers are a great team. They will win some Stanley Cups with Connor McDavid for sure. But I know this has been, up 3-0, now tied 3-3 going to game 7, but I'm going to stick with the Panthers. They're at home, which doesn't really mean a lot anymore, because
that's true.
4 teams win on the road. But yeah, I think I'm going to stick with them, because they don't want to be associated with the first team to lose a Stanley Cup being up 3-0.
No, I don't think they want to do that either. And I do think that Edmonton's, they played strong these past 3 games, but how much more can they hold on to it? Can they do it for another 4th straight and win it like that? I don't know. I don't see it happening. Edmonton's good. I don't think it's their time, but we will have a great viewership come Monday, and that is going to be one of the greatest, most talked about matches of all time that we will see. So be prepared, everyone.
And it's, like I said, so there's always an extra travel day in between because of the distance between Edmonton, right? But I'm looking forward to it. And like I said, I mean, Connor McDavid just breaks record after record, the most points in playoff history, and that kind of thing for a season, of course. But I'm looking forward to it. But it's really been exciting. We're getting to see some of the best players in the world in the finals, biggest stage, and it's going to be on prime time. So enjoy it.
And you look
Nothing
at the
like
NBA.
Game 7. Right?
Nothing like a game 7, and it's a lot better than that NBA matchup that we saw. This is hockey. This is what sports should be all about. And this is what we should be talking about, not about NBA and the NFL's future, which we know is very complicated there.
Yeah.
But I do have other notes before we move off the NHL real quick. The Anaheim Ducks and Los Angeles Kings will debut new logo designs come next year. They've officially been released, specifically the Kings as well. So go check them out when you have a chance. MSG Networks has not renewed Devils pregame, postgame, and intermission host Erica Walker. She's been with the team for more than 6 years. She announced on her Instagram that the MSG Networks did not renew her contract. No information has been released by the network on the decision why, replacement if any, and additional details. I always enjoyed Erica. I met her in person. Very nice lady and a fantastic, a pregame host and everything. I'm disappointed by MSG Network's decision, but as we all know, it's about the money. I don't know if they will hire somebody new. I don't know what the network's decision is going to be. It's just a shocking decision out in the New Jersey network siding of things.
Yeah. And I'd like to see maybe if I'd love to have a conversation again with one of our former guests, Arda, because obviously he's an aficionado. So if we can get him on and get his take on the NHL playoffs for 2024, I'd love it. Love it.
We will work on it. The Colorado Avalanche have announced the retirement of Andrew Cogliano, who played more than 17 seasons of hockey. He had 1,294 games played, 190 goals, 274 assists. He won a cup with the Avalanche, and he played not only for the Avalanche, but for the Oilers, Stars, Sharks, and Ducks. So a long history that he has had. Congratulations on a well job done retirement.
Yes, good for him.
Other news: the Devils have made some trades and picked up Adam Beckman from the Wild in exchange. The Wild to get Grimet Clark. The Devils also picked up a powerful goalie, Jacob Markstrom from Calgary Flames. Calgary now receives Kevin Ball from the New Jersey Devils and a 2025 first-round pick. And the preseason hockey schedule has officially been released. Other trades and news are happening, so go take a look at it and follow your local team for the latest news and more information.
Yeah, well, we're going to see because I think the Rangers are going to have to make some sort of a change. You know, they have like 4 guys that are free agents that, may or may not be resigned. So you're right. It's always moving and shaking after the hockey season is over, pretty much in any league.
League. Nothing new there. Yeah.
Right. But we'll keep an eye on this. And like I said, I'd like the Ducks to go back to their original logo, which was that, the duck mask.
Yes.
The goalie mask.
There was nothing like it. It was the Mighty Ducks original, style. Yeah.
Their original name was the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim.
Yes, because Disney owned the team, and then Disney sold it with the Anaheim baseball team. What was it? The Anaheim baseball team they had.
The Angels.
The Angels. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. So Eli, let's move on to Major League Baseball. Right, we're pretty much at the halfway point. Some guys are getting hurt. Some guys are coming back. So you can't deny the season both that the Phillies and the Yankees are having. Judge is kind of day to day. They got away with him getting hit on the hand. That could have been devastating. Right.
You could have just saw the downfall of the New York Yankees season and a roller coaster ride.
Right. And listen, I know he's hitting. He's got 27 home runs, and Soto's been amazing. But it's their pitching that's kept him in. And things are, like I said, we're getting into the dog days of summer for baseball. So who can stay healthy? You got guys like Ohtani. They're just killing it, and it's starting to get into the point of the season where there's really no more excuses. You got to consistently win. And then conversely, like the Mets, right? Everybody wrote them off. In the beginning of the season, they were supposed to stink, and they did. And then as they moved on, because Alonso, Lindor, and McNeil, and Nimmo, nobody was hitting. And now they're all hitting. And as you pointed out, is this tied to Grimace throwing out the first pitch? I don't know. But
listen, I mean, they are, after all, 8 for 9 on their last 9 games. Is it the Grimace luck? I mean, if it is true, though, the Mets are going to have to add McDonald's pretty much because he was a McDonald's character, if I'm not mistaken, to all their Citi Field venue perks I mean, look at the Yankees, though. They won 3 of the last 9, if you look at them.
Well, as we know, there's always superstition in baseball, but it's you play between the white lines and give them credit. I don't think the Mets have the pitching. This is Grimace what we see, right?
Grimace luck.
We see,
that's all I could say.
We see teams that win 10 in a row and then they lose 10 in a row and go 2-12 or 12-2. So it happens. It balances itself out. But believe it or not, they're still in the mix for the second wild card in the National League. But there is a long way to go.
A very,
and
very.
I know Frankie, who's watching the show. He's got feelings on some of the holes the Yankees may need to plug up as they approach the postseason. But like I said, Frankie, it's a long year. We can't get crazy over each game because ultimately, with basically 80 games left, it's going to be a dogfight. That's how it goes.
Pretty much, bottom line. And if you
Anything
look at
else on Major League Baseball on your end?
No, I mean, the only one I would have to say is we had the Rickwood Classic this week. Reggie Jackson spoke on for the Fox pregame. That was a powerful message. That is something that you have to take a look at if you have not saw yet. It was a powerful message. It just defined everything. It was powerful. That's all I could say. You have to watch it. There's only so much you could explain. You have to see it to believe it. Take a look and listen to it. It was Reggie Jackson on the Fox pregame broadcast for the Rickwood Classic.
Well, that kind of was a big hit, and there's still some guys from those leagues that are still there, and yeah, it was a great story to watch. So no
Yeah.
question about it. Right.
Let's jump into
So
soccer.
Eli, let's talk about the NFL. And again,
Okay.
oh, go ahead, Eli.
All right, we'll do soccer and then we'll go to NFL. We'll go to start with the Euro Cup, as
We will.
a lot of soccer fans out there. Diego Cruz is out there, of course, a big soccer fan. We'll go to soccer. We'll start off with the Euro standings right now. A couple more games left before the round of 16 kicks off after Wednesday. Germany, Netherlands, Spain, Romania, England, and Turkey all have the number one, are on first place. Games are currently happening and are in progress right now. It's pretty much an exciting one that we could look at. Right now, we do have some games in progress, including Georgia, who is they're playing right now as we speak. The score of that game, I will bring that up. The game's in progress right now, to be honest. I know, Jim, I think you're frozen. If not, you're good. The soccer score for Jordan, bringing that up right now. It's 1-1, where they're tied with Czechia. They're tied at 1. That game is happening right now over on Fubo TV. You have other games today: Turkey and Portugal, and Belgium, Romania, both on Fox at 12 and 3 o'clock. The most highlighted game for me to watch in the Euro Cup right now, I would have to say, is Croatia, Italy, because their distance between where they are. That game is on Fox on Monday at 3 p.m. A big matchup. Right now, Croatia is currently at a 0-1. They have 1 draw and 0 wins so far. And they lost also 1 as well. So take a look at that matchup, 3 o'clock on Fox, Croatia, Italy on Monday. It's going to be a very good game. Also, it's going to determine who goes to the round of 16. So pay attention close to watch that one. And one other note from the Euro Cup before I go to Copa America real quick. Georgia soccer fans are thrilled, as during the game versus Turkey on Tuesday, they scored the country's first ever goal in a Euro Cup tournament. The crowd was up in joy, and it was an emotional moment for the Georgia country and fans. And they unfortunately did lose that game 3-1, but was still exciting to see. We also have Copa America games. They just got underway last night and Thursday with games available on Fox, FS1, and Fubo. Some games will be right here, actually, at MetLife Stadium. This Tuesday and Thursday, there will be games at MetLife, so avoid Route 3 if possible. If you're heading, if you're going to the games, just note that there's also state fair. Parking's $40, and there's very limited parking. And it's Chile, Argentina, so you have Messi coming down. So just be prepared, everyone, that you will see a very crazy mess on the roads near MetLife Stadium. So try to avoid it. Tuesday and Thursday, and July 9th will be the 3 days that they're in MetLife Stadium. But you do have a couple great games. Team USA will play tomorrow versus Bolivia at 6 p.m. on Fox. 9 p.m. or tomorrow you have Uruguay, Panama, both on Fox. And today you have for Copa America, Ecuador, Venezuela at 6 o'clock. And at 9 p.m., Mexico versus Jamaica, 2 iconic tourist travel destinations battling it out in the Copa America. Fantastic games. Quarterfinals begin July 4th, and that's what we have for soccer.
Okay. And I think there was one note I saw that while we're talking about Messi, and I apologize, I think we had a glitch there a moment ago.
Okay.
On the set because we lost video here, but I think this was, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Cruz, because I think it was the 19th season in a row that Messi has scored a goal for his country, Argentina, in either World Cup or Euro Cup or whatever. That's a pretty good record. I guess that makes sense, right? Yeah,
it really does. I mean,
all right, Eli, so
let's go.
Take us into the NFL real quick. And first, I was given a hat for Father's Day, which is apparently this thing with the rope around, this NFL hat. Hey, it's green. Not sure why, but this is a
Jets,
a gift from my daughter, and I appreciate it very much. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
It's all about the Jets, Jim.
No, that's not what it's for. It's not because it's a Jets hat. It's an NFL hat. I prefer to think it's more for the Irish. I think it's more for the Irish fan of the NFL.
Oh, okay. I thought it was maybe because the Jets side of things. Well, either way, right now we're off to a slow start. There is just 3 news stories out there. I'll bring that up real quick. Patriots running back Ramondre Stevenson agreed to a 4-year, $36 million deal to stay in New England. Sorry for the little mishap. The Lions signed the UFL kicker Jake Bates to a 2-year, $1.98 million deal. And the Hard Knocks will be featuring the Giants, the Bears, and the in-season tournament. In-season will feature AFC North. That's pretty much what's happening in the NFL. Not much happening. It's a slow period right now. Not much signings, not much information. Jim, you got anything to add for NFL?
Yeah. A couple of the stories. This situation in San Francisco with Brandon Ayuk, they're kind of lowballing him in an offer. So I guess they don't think he's that one of those top elite guys and going to pay him the money that they paid Justin Jefferson, etc. Right? So that's already gotten contention. So look for him to move at some point. He did sign. I think he signed the franchise tag, but so that was a transaction that I wanted to bring up, as well as this guy Matt Araza. Right? He was the Buffalo Bills kicker that was cut. He was accused of some sexual assault, and it turns out he wasn't even there at the time, but it cost him pretty much 2 years of his career. So he lands a job with Kansas City, of all places.
Yes, indeed. We have a comment from Andrew. Good morning, guys. And George Hamilton says hello.
That's reference to him being down the shore last week and coming back with a George Hamilton tan. People would know what that is. Hi, Andrew. Thanks for joining. So football right now, there'll be some moves that are made, right? There's
right now
question about whether Dak Prescott will get signed before the season starts. If not, we're going to hear about this every day like we did for Aaron Rodgers for 12 months.
Saquon Barkley.
So there'll be deals made and transactions done as we get closer to training camp.
Absolutely. I mean, not much.
That's all I got for the NFL because, like I said, it's hockey season, it's baseball season. Yeah.
Yes.
Let me see. One other. Oh, yeah, from the NFL. So, we talked about, and you know my feelings on Barry Sanders and where he belongs in the top 5 running backs of all time. He apparently has some sort of a heart issue, had a death scare over the weekend. So we wish him all the best because he was class. And great at what he did. So wanted to also make now, Eli, let's move on to some random points of interest. And of course, that's sponsored by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut. And I know Mr. Lynch is feeling much, much better. So thank you again, Mike, for your continued support. And so I just got a couple of more random points I wanted to make, just more or less some observations. It drives me crazy that the New York Yankees, of all teams, and I guess this is just a sign of the times. It's a money-making thing, but they have an advertising logo on the sleeve of their shirt. It's called, I'm not even going to mention the name, but if George Steinbrenner was still alive, that would never, ever, ever have happened. Their uniforms would have remained exactly the same, no names on the back, no sponsors on the shirts. But it drives me nuts to see a company like that every single game. And, listen, make probably a smart business decision by then. But I never thought, what's next? They're going to change the name of Yankee Stadium to Pepsi Park or something? I don't know.
Yes.
That would be it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know why, Jim? We said it time and time out. It's all about the Benjamin, the money.
Yeah.
We all know that's the reason why.
I know.
I mean, not surprised. It's the Yankees.
Yeah. Yeah, so a couple other quick notes. I know you're going to have some too, and we kind of glanced over the Reddick to LA. This is his first job, but this is kind of their fallback plan because of Hurley turning them down. So, he's a great analyst. Does that translate to a great NBA coach? Well, the situation, as I pointed out in Los Angeles, is a little different because LeBron James is the coach, not JJ Redick. But let him, he got 4 years. They're going to pay him that money. Take it. And when he realizes he has no say in anything that LeBron James wants to have happen, then he's going to,
But does he have more control, though? Because he is older, after all, by a couple months. They're both born the same year, but he was older in a couple months. Does that give JJ Redick the higher throne for just a little bit? I don't know.
I don't see it. I don't see it.
I do understand though. He is his own. The NBA is the LeBron James league right now. Until he
No
goes
question.
and retires, this is the LeBron James league. You apply to his rules, not Adam Silver and nobody else. But I do want to see if we will see any positive change out of the deal and what the whole group
Yep.
will be like.
Good. Yep. I got a couple more real quick. So today, from a horse racing perspective, is the Royal Ascot. And the Royal Ascot is the epitome of pomp and circumstance, and everybody wears top hats, and all the women dress like elegance and so forth. But you wonder how much money do they spend on this presentation? But this Royal Ascot is literally on WNBC right now because it's that popular worldwide, and it's a beautiful, beautiful setting. Ascot Raceway is like 25 miles from downtown London, and the pomp and circumstance is pretty cool. And when I think about it, I watch it usually every year. Caught a couple races this morning, but I guess there's always that debate: who's the best horse to run the Royal Ascot? Like we would say, Secretariat in the U.S. Some people argue there was a horse called Franco that won the Queen Elizabeth Stakes back in 2011.
No.
So, but it's really nice. And the unusual thing about it is that they go counterclockwise as opposed to on our side of the
Otherwise, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. So there's a combination. There are just, these are all turf races, and some of them are steeplechase, which, I mean, with those horses, this is a long race, and then they got to jump over hurdles and do all those kind of things. So if you get a chance, it's kind of cool to watch at least one race, Royal Ascot. And we were talking about basketball before, and I just saw this thing. I guess it's called, his name would be Olivier Real. He's from Montreal. He's going to be the tallest college basketball player ever at 7'9". 7'9", and he's going to the University of Florida. So keep an eye on this guy. Might have to bend over a little bit to get inside, but yeah. All right. Couple other quick things. Just wanted to mention that Saratoga Race Course, is a few weeks away from opening season, and if you haven't had an opportunity to go up there, check out the race, spend some time in the downtown area, which is beautiful. Saratoga's coming, and looking forward to that.
No question.
And I just needed to give a quick shout out because my brother Steven, who's doing well, was with my nephew. His son Sean graduated from Ramapo High School in Franklin Lakes, and he's off to Scranton next year on a scholarship. So good luck to him. Congratulations to him. He's turned into a fine young man, and I wanted to certainly make sure that I mentioned it on the show.
And we hope to see Steve right back on the show as well. And don't worry, even if he comes back, I will still be here. I'm not moving. I'm staying here.
You're not.
So I just want to, I hope we have a return for him as well.
Absolutely.
All right.
Go ahead. Give me your random points.
All right. Couple random points. We'll go to the WNBA real quick. Connecticut Sun still in first place with a 13-2 record. Last night's final scores from the WNBA: the Fever over the Dream, 91-79, and the Aces over the Sun, 85-74. It was a big win for the Aces as they are the 5th seed. The Sun is in first place, so it was a big win for them last night. Second loss this season for only the Sun, the Connecticut Sun. Today's games, you have Dallas, Washington, 3 p.m. ESPN 3, LA, New York, ESPN at 3 p.m., Phoenix and Minnesota, 8 p.m. NBA TV, and you have a couple games tomorrow, mostly local channels is where you'll find those games. Two other notes: 85-year-old broadcaster Dick Vitale is free of cancer and can once again call games. So congratulations on beating cancer. Michael Strahan's daughter also beat cancer. So congrats to the two of them. And finally...
Dick Vitale he's a Jersey guy. Actually, he used to coach at Elmwood Park, and he's been a fixture in college basketball. This is probably like the 3rd time he's beat cancer. So him coming back, that's a big deal.
Absolutely. The last note is whatever you do this next week, do not take New Jersey Transit, as there are 3 straight days worth of delays this week.
Mhm.
So whatever you do, drive, take the bus, take a ferry, but do anything but take the train, because it was a mess this week. I can not only imagine next week. That's just my only recommendation, especially with the soccer games happening as well. Just keep note of that. And yeah, that's what I got. No other
All
random.
right. Well, just good heads up about the mass transit. So maybe, if I'm going to go to a Yankee game or something, I'll have to just take my private helicopter, I guess. Right?
I
That's
guess,
probably
right? That's just
right.
makes sense, right? Yeah.
Why not? Why
Yeah,
not?
exactly. Why not?
All right, Eli. A
I
lot
want to
of
ride.
random points. A lot of random points today. So I got
Okay.
a recommendation, and again, it's going to be tied to our notable passings, but I'll bring that up in a little bit. So our recommendations for movies this week relates to somebody we just lost
Oh, and
from
it's, by the way,
Hollywood.
sponsored by Vital Selections, photos and
Oh,
movie pictures. As always, sponsored by Vital Selections. Scan the QR code to learn more. Great product. Go check it out.
yeah, it's a great product. It's a healthy product, and like I said, there's nothing but upside here, and this is a growing company. So scan the QR code, go to their site, and
Learn
order
more.
away.
Exactly.
So Eli, the recommendations I have, and these are movies. Now, I think one of them I actually mentioned, ironically, a few weeks ago, only because it was Memorial Day and it was it's a great movie, The Dirty Dozen. So I'm going to give the movies, and then I'm going to tell you what's common about each one of them. Obviously, the movie from I think 1971, maybe 70 or 71, MASH, which
Yes.
is the precursor to the long running series on CBS.
Yep.
Animal House, which is my
Yeah.
favorite comedy of all time, but this gentleman was in that, and he also played a great role, a dramatic role. Mary Tyler Moore's first dramatic role was
Yes.
Ordinary People, and
Donald Sutherland. Yeah.
yeah, that's Donald Sutherland in each one of those movies.
Yeah.
Great
Pretty
actor. He made a ton of work for many, many years. His son became an actor, and they just actually had a movie. They made a movie
dedicated.
together for the first time. But he was not only in Dirty Dozen, but also Kelly's Heroes, and Jim Brown was in both of them, and there was an all-star cast in each one of them. Great actor, and we're gonna talk about that again as we close out the show with our notables, right? So
Yeah.
Eli,
I mean, my
go
pick,
ahead.
I think, this week, before we get to the photos, I watch game shows. I mean, there's a lot happening. I mean, new game shows. Beat the Bridge is brand new on Game Show Network. It's at 6 o'clock. It's a really good game show. 3 o'clock to 5 on Buzzer, the channel's called. You can watch The Price is Right with Bob Barker. So watch that. That's my recommendation. You go back to the old shows. I'll go back to the old game shows and the new ones
Fair
that are
enough.
debuting. And here's some
Yeah.
photos now.
We do, and like I said, a little backstory behind each one. So this, on the far right, is Mike Garvey, one of our loyal listeners, and he's there with his two brothers, and guess who? The Say Hey Kid. That's Willie Mays right there. As
That's
we
incredible.
open the show with Willie, that's a great picture, and that's a Garvey classic. So this was all about Willie today in the monologue. So that's a great picture. Here is my grandson. I had an opportunity to see him play 2 games this week. He was pitching, and he just, just to see the development of this young man and his whole team.
Pretty incredible.
Yeah, like year after year. I mean, he's already 10, but they're doing well. Their team's doing well. And this is a picture, Eli, that I finally
Miracle on Ice.
found. Right? A Miracle on Ice, and it was autographed by Mark Wells, who we talked about, one of the players on that team. He had sent this, signed this for me, this picture, so I kind of treasure it. It's really a cool picture, isn't it?
Wow, that's pretty incredible to see. It really is.
Yeah. 44 years ago that was. That's just hard to believe. It really is hard to believe.
Incredible.
Yeah. So listen, Eli, we have notable passings, and as we mentioned, Willie Mays, big loss for everybody. So that was
Everybody. Yeah.
It's kind of not surprising, 93, but
Yeah.
he like we said before, he cemented his place, and I can't find anybody. I don't think anybody would comment, or anybody would send us an email that said, Willie Mays was not one of the top 5 baseball players of all time. I think he would be in most educated baseball historians' top 5 list. So big loss
No
there.
question.
And as we pointed out, Donald Sutherland, and we just rattled off a couple of his movies. I mean, this guy did a ton of
MASH
movies.
was the biggest one, though. I mean,
Yeah.
Hunger
maybe.
Games too. He was in the Hunger Games. I
I
mean,
never saw that series. So.
I know the newer people, you'll understand, but I never watched it. I'll be quite honest with you. The only one that stuck up to me was MASH because I knew that was a popular show.
Yeah. I mean, he had a small role in Animal House. He played he played the hippie professor, and
But if you want to talk about like his best notable one, MASH for sure.
Yeah, but I think he got recognized as well for Ordinary People because both him and Mary Tyler Moore complimented each other so great. It was a great movie. I think it won Best Picture one year, right?
Yes, I believe it did.
Yeah, and there was one other one, Hiram Caston. Now, Hiram Caston, he was on Seinfeld. He was on Everybody Loves Raymond. He was just one of those character actors that made, guest appearances on a lot of shows, Saved by the Bell, like 40 years ago. So, good character actor. He was 71 years old. But like I said, if you were on Seinfeld, even for one, I think he was on for maybe 2 episodes. That says a lot for your career. That means, he actually met Jerry Seinfeld at some comedy club, whatever, many years ago. And then I guess the comedic circle is a close-knit group. And, so that's who I have. Did I miss anybody that you might have?
Yes, Taylor Willie from Hawaii Five-0 has died. He was at the age of 56.
Right. Let's preface that with the current Hawaii Five-0 and not the original with Jack
Hawaii
Lord.
5-0, yes.
Right.
My chair just went down. That's why it was like, whoa, for a second.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah.
That's it, Tyler Willie?
That's it, Tyler Willie. We said everything else.
Hey, like we said, when we have a good week and we only have a few,
that's all that matters. It makes everything better.
What we want. That's what we want. But again, I hope everybody is staying cool in this weather. And again, we get comments from guys like Andrew Carolyn and Frankie Pisani and Derek Krug, and these are the guys that are watching our show, and our show is really starting to gain momentum, and our sponsorship is growing. So things are bright for Sports with Mono and Mono, and I'm looking forward to continuing this as you and I just passed, like I said, our 1-year anniversary.
Absolutely. And I cannot thank you for everything. It was, really, it's been fun. And
it's been a great opportunity. But you know what, Eli? It's all about our listeners, and we want to give them content. We don't want to stir controversy. We don't want to bring politics into it. It's just sports. It's not the most important thing in the world, but it's an outlet for everybody with the way things are going in our world today. So everybody stay cool. Thank you again.
Have a good weekend.
Loyal listenership. And Mike, thanks for that picture. It was great. Willie Mays, that's a big picture. Awesome.
Absolutely. Have a great weekend, everyone.
All right, Eli, you too.